Well, the NBA moratorium is over. Free agency certainly is in full swing. NBA Summer League as well. So much to talk about on this edition of Trailblazers Courtside, presented by Pacific Power. In studio, Brian Wheeler, Kerry Eggers from the Portland Tribune. I'm not sure how in this hour we're going to fit everything in that we have planned, but somehow we'll find a way, I'm sure. One of the newest Blazers, Evan Turner, will be with us in just a few minutes. We'll also talk to assistant coach Dale Osborne to get his take on what's going on in Las Vegas with the Blazers Summer League squad. But we begin the program certainly with a bang with Trailblazers President and CEO Chris McGowan. And what does a president do when he needs some rest and relaxation? You did something very unique recently, and sounds like you had some success as well. Tell everybody about it.
Oh, yeah. I went to Idaho, into the mountains and streams of Idaho, and I'm a new fly fisher, so I went out a couple days and did a little fly fishing. And when I go, I just assume I'm not going to catch anything because you got a lot going on. And fortunately, one day we got into some fish, and I ended up catching 4 or 5 of them, which was a good trip for me.
So is this something you think you'll make a habit of, or was this just a one-time venture? And now that you've seen some success, maybe you want to do it more often?
No, I plan to make a habit of it. It's time consuming, and you have to travel into some places it takes a little bit of time to get to. And I've got the fishing part down. It's tying the knots is the thing that's challenging me the most. So I'll sit at home and try to figure out how to tie all the knots. And I was never good at knots growing up. So casting and catching, I got down pretty good. It's just tying everything on and seeing everything is what my most challenged part of fly fishing is right now.
Here?
Well, you had a guide that helped you a little bit, you said. Talk about that.
Yeah, funny. The guide that took me out is from Portland. So he played high school basketball in Portland, lives in Idaho now. And I met him when, I go out there quite a bit. My wife's family lives in the area that we like to go to. And I met him, and he's from Portland. He's a big Trailblazers fan. And so we connected via that. But he's like a tremendous, his name's John Huber, is a tremendous fly fishing guide. He's written a few books. And when I went out with him, he knew where all the fish were. When I go out by myself, I'm helpless and I have no chance. So it was nice to go out with him because he put us in some good spots.
But he probably couldn't negotiate a television deal. So, there's some advantages both ways. And I know you went out right after announcing something that was long anticipated, the future of the Blazers on television. You had some options in that respect, decided to stay with Comcast Sportsnet. Talk to us about the advantages of the new deal going forward.
Yeah, we're really happy to be extending with Comcast. We know that there's some challenges that remain out there from a distribution perspective, and I've certainly heard it loud and clear since I've been here that where we're at now isn't acceptable. And when we went through the process, we talked to a lot of different people, a lot of different options, and it became very clear to me that Comcast was by far our best option, and they're really motivated to try to improve on distribution going forward. They have some new leadership that really excited us. That he comes in, David Preschlack, and he's done a little bit of press in Portland with a lot of distribution experience, and I think he's a problem solver. And we're happy that he's on board and can hopefully work to try to improve some of the situation that we've all been dealing with the last little while. And we love the fact that we're back with Comcast because we're in a great relationship with them, and we operate well together. The general manager, Larry Eldridge, does a lot of great things for us. So from that perspective, it's great going forward. But we also know collectively that we got to make some improvements to distribution, and we're going to work. It's challenging, it's hard, but our organization, their organization, is going to collaborate and try to make improvements going forward. And we also like the fact that the landscape's changing a little bit, and there's a lot of new options to watch games. So in our announcement, we talk about things like Sony View and the ability to go on and check that out because you can get Blazers games through that, which is a non-traditional method to watch games, but something we're excited about. And as people get educated about that, they're going to find that there's options that are there now that weren't there 4 or 5 years. And I've had a lot of people, when you walk through Sony View and some of those options, they didn't know it was out there, and they're excited about the fact that they can now, in a relatively easy manner, get Blazers games when they thought they maybe couldn't have gotten them in the past.
Chris, since the beginning, the Blazers have been available over the air, whether it's KGW or other stations previously. That's not going to happen after the 16-17 season for the first time ever. What are your thoughts on that? You'll have 16 games this year and then none moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, in 17-18, the entire package will be available on Comcast only, so we won't be on KGW any longer after this coming season, which we've had a great relationship with KGW, and they've been great partners, and there's a reason why there aren't any teams doing over-the-air deals anymore. It's just really tough to get a deal put together where stations have the amount of time that professional sports teams need. And you think about it, on 82 nights a year, we need a 4-hour block, and there's just not a lot of options out there that are viable to do a complete over-the-air deal. But we looked, and we were trying to figure out a way to see if that was going to be a viable option in our marketplace, and unfortunately it didn't really present itself that way. But that was just part of the process that we wanted to go through. We wanted to turn over every stone and look at traditional and non-traditional options. And ultimately, by going through that process, it became very apparent that renewing with great partners and Comcast was going to be the best route for us and our organization to take. And ultimately, it'll be the best for our fans long term, because their distribution footprint, although isn't where we would like to have it, is the biggest, most viable footprint in our marketplace right now.
You got Kevin Calabro coming in as a TV voice, I think one of the best in the country. Where are you with a color commentator, and might you rotate him?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about rotating. Ideally for me would be to, find a great partner that fits with Kevin, and we're definitely involved in that process. That's a top priority for us going forward. I obviously had to figure out the TV deal, and now that that's done, we can put all of our intention into putting a great partner together with Kevin. I agree with you. He's one of the best in the business, and we're really excited to have him in our organization. And we've started creating a list that's narrowing down to potential partners for him to come in as our analyst, and I think we'll have it done in August. That's kind of the goal, and once we have that, we'll do an announcement and let everyone know kind of the direction we're going from the analyst perspective on TV.
I've known him since the early 90s. He and his wife Sue came down, as you know, a week or so ago, and I took him on a tour of some neighborhoods. I think they've already established where they want to be, so
right.
So they're excited about this new opportunity.
I heard about the tour. I never got a tour when I moved there, and I know you're an expert on
I know.
Portland. So.
Well, I think maybe I know more than I did when you came to
there
town.
You go.
But it helps. So I think
you're the king of the Pearl.
Yeah.
So
well, they that's one of the areas they're considering. So,
Prince of the Pearl.
Prince of the Pearl, King, whatever it might be. I know since we're into July, that means the start of a new fiscal year. As you look back on what was obviously a very successful one that just completed, we've talked many times about the fact that you have to plan things without taking into account how successful the team might be, but it's obviously easier when they are. How do you build on some great success? I know you're always looking for the new challenges and the things that you still can improve on. So what does this new fiscal year bring in terms of things that you would like to continue to ramp up?
Right. You said fiscal year twice in one question. That's probably got to be the first time you've ever done that.
I think so. You might be right.
So yeah, we're coming off a really successful year. I was really happy with our staff's mentality going into the season. Obviously, you guys saw there weren't a lot of expectations for us as an organization, and both on and off the court, we rallied behind that, and we were able to produce a lot of great results that people didn't really expect were going to happen. But now, going forward, there's going to be added expectations to us to continue to do those types of things, and I think everyone's ready for that. But I tell the staff every day, things don't necessarily change for us. We're still about making sure we're filling the building on a nightly basis, making sure we're creating great partnerships with our sponsors, making sure we're focused on fan experience, making sure when people come to all of our events, we're paying very, very close attention to all the details so they're having an amazing time when they come to the Moda Center. And those are the things that we kind of charted a couple years ago and tried to make great improvements, and we'll continue to do that going forward. And I think it's really important for our organization to really remain conscious of those fundamentals, so to speak, and continue to produce great results. And really, we're all about the fan and trying to create a great atmosphere, great environment for them. They're great to our organization, which is something that I marvel at every time I go to a game. And I've been in situations where buildings aren't full, and they were full at the start of the season last year when people didn't expect us to win 21, 25, whatever games they were saying we're going to win. And because of that, we have to reward them with an organization that works really hard to take care of them when they're spending their hard-earned money to come to our games, when they're buying our jerseys, when they're living with the frustration of distribution or poor distribution and still supporting the team at the level that they are. That's what drives our organization on a daily basis, and we're going to continue to work on those types of projects going forward.
Will you be Portland's sole representative at the Board of Governors?
This time I will. Sometimes I'm not. It just depends on the schedule. So yeah, I'll be there for the Board of Governors meeting. It's only one meeting. Normal Board of Governors meetings are a couple days. So the one in the summer is just a little bit abbreviated. And then they've done a president's meeting the next day. So I'll attend on behalf of the Blazers for that. And they're actually doing a building operation arena portion of the president's meeting as well. So we're bringing in some people that work on the building side of things to sit in some sessions on trying to learn best practices on how to run better arenas. So there's really 3 meetings that will go on over the course of the next 3 days, in addition to summer league games. So I'm hoping to be able to sneak out and watch a little basketball as well. So
will there be discussion, Chris, on the CBA, the negotiations and that sort of thing, or is that separate?
Yeah, no, they always have. The agenda's really packed. It's just meant to be overview, general business overviews. I'm sure they'll talk a little bit about CBA. They'll talk about things like rule changes that they're contemplating looking at. They'll give a lot of updates to the owners and the governors that are in town, and usually try to get a broad overview of what's going on in the NBA. So I'm sure it'll be a topic of conversation.
You'll also see, of course, your compatriot on the basketball side, Neil O'Shea, as president of basketball operations when you get to Vegas. And he's had a busy last few weeks. I sent him a text after the Zealy signing, and I said, gosh, I can't wait for the start of training camp. And he said, I can. He goes, I need a week in Vegas after this. so he's obviously been very, very busy with a lot of negotiating. What do you think about the moves that have been made to bring some new faces to town, but also retain some guys that I know the fans already were very much in favor of in terms of Allen Crabbe and Myers?
That's what I think is genius, and what I loved about our team last year is how tight-knit of a group it was, and you got to be careful that you don't upset that apple cart, because I think that drove us to a lot of success last year. And I think what Neil's done, and he's done it every year, is he's added a lot of depth and some nice pieces to help move us forward, because obviously there's going to be a lot of expectations for us next year. So I think we're lucky to have him, and every year he's done a great job, and I think he's one of the best in the business, and I think it's been a successful offseason for us, and I know our fans, based on the feedback that I'm getting, are really excited to get to know kind of the new guys that are here, but also really excited that the vast majority of the players that they fell in love with last year are still part of the team too. So as you know, last offseason our organization went through a massive transition, so there's a little bit more consistency now going forward, and I think that excites our fan base.
Have you been 5 years now?
Not yet. It's going to be my 5th season, but my 4th year in November.
I remember you and I sat down the first month you were in town, and you were excited about the challenge, but weren't quite sure how you were going to fit in the Portland community. 4 or 5 years later, how do you feel about living here?
Love it. I mean, my family loves it. I love it. It's a great city, great sports fans. There's a ton to do. The weather hasn't gotten to me like everyone said it would. I actually like the weather here. So, we love Portland and hope to stay here a long period of time.
End of this month, of course, the annual 3-on-3 tournament will be taking place again. So the off-season still filled with a lot of community events. It was really fun to be at the Thorns game last Saturday, Rip City United event, one of the advantages of being a season ticket holder. What can you tell people about what is available? I know we've got a lot of season ticket holders, but maybe they're not thinking basketball yet, but this might be a good time to start exploring if they want to maybe take the next step and become a season ticket holder to get all the advantages that the folks that have season tickets already enjoy.
Seats are going very quickly, so I always go to our website and check it out. Locations people are really excited about this team, so the quicker you get in, the better.
And then Rip City 3-on-3, I know the teams are still we're signing up, but there's still room for some folks.
Yeah, we're going to have a record year there. I think we're going to have close to 600 teams, which is amazing. So that event continues to grow. We raise a lot of money for Special Olympics, and I love the fact that we're doing it in the summer, and we're committed to doing it every year.
You playing this year?
Yeah. I'll be in a 3-point contest.
I was thinking the dunk contest.
Yeah.
So tell everybody, because I know you're very accessible to fans, and right, and whether they agree with you or disagree with something that you've done, you don't hide from anybody. So so tell everybody how they can find you on Twitter.
At Chris McGowan, but I did take a Twitter break last week.
Okay.
Yeah, it was there were some people that weren't very happy with me, and the one thing that I've learned on Twitter is it's not filtered. So for my peace of mind, I took a little bit of a break last week, but I'm back at it, put it back on my phone, and look forward to engaging with fans going forward. But be nice on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, people can be really, really mean.
That's a veteran move, though, Chris. I like that.
Well, yeah, I was also in an area that didn't get cell phone reception, so that might have played a little piece to it.
Good timing, it sounds like. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate the time as always, and we'll look forward to hopefully a good report when you get back from Vegas, and Rip City 3-on-3 coming up before we know it. But thank you for the time tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.